Hello, I'm Sabina Push and welcome back to operalovers.net. Recently, I met the star soprano Amanda Roocroft and her friend and co-star Claire Bradshaw during a break in rehearsals in Cardiff. In a new production of Otello, Amanda Roocroft is playing Desdemona, while Claire Bradshaw has the role of Emilia. The star cast also includes Dennis O'Neill in the title role and David Kempster as Iago. The conductor is Carlo Rizzi. First of all, can I just ask you, how did you two get to know each other?
We were at college together, weren't we? I was a couple of years ahead of Claire, so we've known each other a very long time. But we've never actually worked together until we did Butterfly. When was that?
Butterfly was about 2 years ago. In fact, the first time I was ever on stage with Amanda, she was doing all the big, fantastic solo parts at the Royal Northern where we studied, and I was right at the back of the chorus thinking, I want to be like her, and she had a fantastically big, beautiful burnt orange silk dress on with a huge train, and I was thinking, that must be really nice. So to finally work with her is fantastic.
I remember seeing Claire when we were in college. She was the handmaiden, weren't you, for Elisabetta?
Yes.
And I sat watching, and she didn't actually sing, but she was acting, and she was about the only one that I noticed on stage, which she's phenomenal on stage, and it's so wonderful to work with her because I know this sounds really sycophantic.
Says the Laurence Olivier winner for acting last year.
Shut up. It's amazing to hear that she never wanted to be on stage, because if ever anybody was born to be on stage, it's her. So that's it. I'm not giving you any more. We've got a good chemistry, the two of us. We don't really have to say much, do we? We sort it out between us,
Are there a lot of roles where two singers like you work together in opera? Are there any others that you'd love to do apart from Madame Butterfly and Otello?
I'd love to do Katia with Claire, and she'd be Varvara. That would be lovely.
And maybe Così fan tutte as well would be great. Yeah, doing Dorabella and
Fiordiligi. That one. The soprano part. I don't know the soprano parts.
So tell me about Otello. Is this a particularly exciting production that you're doing?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a new production, which is always nice to be on because you're at the actual creation of it. And from my point of view, and also for Claire's, Emilia is a much more important part in the opera. In the opera, it's quite insignificant musically, but in the play, it's a really important part. And for me, it's really helpful that Paul, the director, is really focusing on Emilia as a really significant character. She's one of the quartet, don't you think?
Absolutely. And it's always interesting before you do a new production as to what it's going to be like, and you sort of catch your breath thinking, is it going to be really new and quirky and whatever, but it actually looks like it's going to be very traditional. And I think the most amazing thing about it is I think it's going to be the frocks, because it's just going to look absolutely wonderful. And I went up for my costume fitting last week, and the rows of chorus frocks were there, and I thought they were actually the principal's frocks because they're so amazing, and the sleeves are just incredible, incredibly luscious fabrics, all red velvets, and it's just going to look amazing, really traditional. She's great.
I heard something about a wig.
I get big hair and big dresses. It's marvellous. And a really big wig that, really long, sort of to sitting point, and it's going to be all like, what's her name? Bonnie Tyler-esque. Standing there with the wind machine and a beautiful dress, and then it's going to be dressed gradually as the opera goes on. It gets grander and grander, so it comes really quite big. It's really heavy. And it really helps with your posture. You think, okay, it's like carrying books on your head or bricks on your head, but it's cool. I love it. There's no gain, is there, without pain? You know what I mean? You have to hurt in order to look good.
Does costume or the staging of a production ever affect how much more difficult it is to do a role?
It can do. I mean, if it's a costume that you don't feel good in and you're meant to feel good, that can be awful. It's really, like in day wear, it's the same, isn't it? Sometimes I get dressed and I think, I got dressed in the dark, I feel horrid and I've got to live with this for the whole of the day. And equally, if it's meant to be a daggy role like Yennefer or Katia, and you're in a really elegant dress, you think, no, this doesn't feel right. But what Paul had said was that these clothes are not exactly, they're clothes, not costumes, and we've got to get used to them and really feel and work with them as if they were just clothes, which is a great idea, isn't it? Yeah, but it does make a difference. It's amazing the difference it makes.
What are the particular aspects of your two roles that you like in this opera, in Otello?
I quite like the fact that my character seems to be turning out to be quite a strong character. She's very, very knowing and always telling Desdemona to pull herself together. And she's trying to get one over on her husband, who seems to be a bit of a wife beater. And I quite like playing the strong character. Even I obviously have a much smaller role than Desdemona, but if you can actually bring something more to it, which gives it more of a dimension, which is to play the strength, and it's in places I feel a little bit like Carmen, which is quite nice. But I think that's what I love about my role. And she gets really long plaits as well, and go down to her ankles, which is going to be great. So I can swing them in my husband's face in the opera. So.
The lethal weapons.
Yeah.
What about you?
Oh well, I mean, this is one of those dream roles. Really, I've done it a few times, and I've tried on several occasions with directors to play her as a strong character, because she is. I mean, the fact that she's left home, run away with a Moor, defied her family. She's incredibly strong. And Iago says at one point, she's the duce del duce, behind every good man is a strong woman, isn't there? And he's allowing that. Well, in fact, he's positively encouraging it. And that's what I like about it. And I think, again, it gives her another dimension. Instead of just being this weeping willow, so to speak, she's got a bit of backbone as well, which is lovely. And I just think it's more interesting for everybody then.
What's this theatre like to sing in?
Oh, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. The first time I stepped on stage was to do the Butterfly when we started rehearsing, and I thought, I can do anything I want in here. I really don't have to feel that I can sing as quietly as I want. I can sing as naturally as I can, without having to feel ever that you have to project. And it's a fairly big pit, and it'll be very big with the Otello, But no, I love it.
Absolutely. And the other good thing is it's really nice backstage. The feeling of light and space is fantastic. It makes a big difference to us.
So how did you two get into opera then?
It was that kind of the ability to lose yourself and play make-believe, actually. And it was funny, we were saying this one day in the rehearsal, we're looking at ourselves and we were saying, how can you justify this to your children? What did you do all day, Mummy? Well, we dressed up and we played make-believe, and I'm really tired. It's a bit... It's a tough one, that, isn't it? I
got paid for it.
Yeah.
Now, here's something I'm quite interested in. How do you equate motherhood with working in opera?
Very, very tricky. I mean, I've got 2 children now. Just had my second, and she's 8 months, and my first one's 5.5. And I'm still feeding my little girl. And I feel really like I'm pining inside. I want to be with her, yet at the same time, I love doing the work. And trying to equate the two things is nigh on impossible, I would say.
I've got 3 boys. My youngest now is 6. And in a way, you have to feel a bit like a man. Right now, I'm going to do this. And then when I go home, I'll be mummy again. And you have to kind of block the two off, really. The overriding thing that you feel is guilt, total guilt. The important thing, I think, is just to make sure the kids don't know you're feeling guilty, because they'll play it. They play me like a symphony orchestra, I can tell you.
Fantastic. It's one thing that I try and cling on to is, now my little boy's about 5.5 and he can start to begin to sit in an audience. And then you think, no, this is wonderful for him.
Dominic was 8 and he took part in an opera with me. He came, and that was a big thing. He was one of the boys in Peter Grimes, and he saw the whole boredom sitting about, all the duff side of, as well as the glamour side, and the parties and the fun and all of that, and he experienced the nerves and he experienced the tension. And now when I say I've got a Sitzprobe, I don't know what to wear, and he says, just wear something really nice and make sure you wear your heels, because he understands, he understands the whole deal, and I don't think that can be a bad thing, really. I mean, it's just got to be balanced, hasn't it, really?
Thank you very much, both of you. Thanks for giving us your lunchtime.
Pleasure.